Before I begin, I have a quick question for you. Is the opposite of depression happiness? I'll come back to that later. Hello, my name is Richard. I'm a husband, a father, a deputy director at one of the largest NHS trusts in England. As well as those things, I'm a mental health sufferer. Statistically speaking, amongst the audience today, there'll be a number who have had mental health illness either in the past or are currently still suffering. I want to say to you personally that these are my lived experiences and views. I know everyone is different, and if this brings up issues, please speak to your health professional. I've used the term sufferers, that is how it feels to me, but I recognise using the term can make you a victim of the illness and others shouldn't from using it. Today is the first time I've spoken publicly about my mental health, and do so knowing that you will respect my honesty. 11 years ago I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Bipolar is a mental health condition that affects your moods, which can swing from one extreme to the other. It used to be known as manic depression. People with bipolar disorder have episodes of depression, feeling very low and lethargic, mania, feeling very high and overreactive. But let me explain bipolar to you and where I am on that illness. Imagine a horizontal line. This is the normal state, and anything above the line is high, and everything below the line is feeling down or depressed. A person without bipolar will be on the line, staying slightly above based on environmental factors such as a wedding or below the line or loss of a relative. However, a person with bipolar will have extreme periods of high above the line, followed by really depths below the line. My own illness means that when not high or excessively below the line, I lie just below the horizontal line in a subfunctional level. It means my norm and how I live every day is a form of clinical depression. Before the diagnosis in 2009, I had suffered 2 breakdowns. I also have confused thoughts and even lose a sense of reality occasionally. When I was 16, I did 4 months missionary work. That is all I could say. I have no memory of the time. The only thing that I have is several pages at the back of my Bible with comments from those I was with. In around 2007, I went to the Royal Garden Party at Buckingham Palace with my wife. I have no memory of it. Both of these are significant life milestones, but which I can't remember. You will have heard of bipolar sufferers amongst a few high-profile celebrities, such as Catherine Zeta-Jones, Mel Gibson, Mariah Carey, who have all come out to say they have the diagnosis. But it isn't new. Vivian Leigh, who plays Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind, her behaviour was so erratic, she had electric shock therapy, and she was what was then called manic depression. However, mental health illness can go way back to the Old Testament. In Deuteronomy 28:28, it says, "The Lord will afflict you with madness and confusion of mind." This is the NIV version. Older versions use lunatic. The term lunatic derives from the Latin word lunaticus, which originally referred to mainly epilepsy and madness, as diseases thought to be caused by the moon. The King James Version uses lunatic in the Gospel of Matthew, which has now been interpreted as to reference to epilepsy. I'm not a biblical scholar or a theologian, but I strongly believe that there is a purposeful decision to choose epilepsy than madness, as the former is more acceptable to the church and society. Does today mimic biblical times? Let's start by looking at King Saul, who from being a shy, self-conscious young man became an exaltation to kingship, puffed up with high periods of high moods, alternating with fits of back depression, eventually dying by suicide. All of you will know of a celebrity who has committed suicide. What you may not know is how many have bipolar disorder. Does anyone know the suicide rate amongst men in the UK? You may be surprised to know 16 suicides a day. That's horrendously high, and if ever there was a time for the church to step up and act, it's now. My own story is that 2 years ago, during a severe depressive period, I contemplated suicide. And I was admitted to a psychiatric ward at our local mental health hospital. Thankfully, the love of my family and the medication they gave me got me through. A fact about bipolar: not all mental health disorders have the high suicide rate. You may not know that it isn't prevalent during the depressive phase, even though it happens most commonly during the high. So how does the illness feel for me? I've known a higher average chance of dying through suicide, with men 4 times more likely to commit suicide than women, and my diagnosis has the highest suicide rate amongst mental health disorders. However, I am positive about my life and my future. Why? because I have learned to be truthful about my feelings with my wife and my community psychiatric nurse, known as a CPN. However, this has left me nervous as my CPN has just left and I need to build up faith and trust with my new one once I've been allocated. This nervousness can be irrational but feels real. If I relate it to the Roman Methodist Church, whilst often well, I watched 2 p.m. Kate and Margaret Cupper over Facebook. However, it changed to Kate and Paul, and I was suspicious as I didn't know Paul. The learning for the church is that a small change can seem very big to people with mental health diagnosis. Continuity of people is key. To me, this means not having a reliance on ministers as they change and move, whereas members of the congregation are likely to remain within your church and community. You need to be mindful when speaking to new people that come across, either directly through the church or as street pastors, etc., if you have those. As they have a past they may not wish to disclose, and my experience is the church congregation can be inquisitive, which sometimes feels nosy. I don't experience many highs. I'm on a lot of medication to stabilise my moods, but during a very high period I bought a brand new car. It's terrible how easy it was to get credit. We struggled along and in the end sold it, leaving us out of pocket. From my own experience and what I see, there is a growing mental health crisis going on right now, and without the right support the results are going to be tragic. I believe that if there is a significant and positive role for the church to play in support of mental health, it's now. Everyone can make a difference to those who have reached the period of wanting to end their lives. I have a few things I'd like to leave you with. The first one is use weight. Watch out, ask, it will pass, talk to others. Watch out for signs of distress and uncharacteristic behaviour, e.g. social withdrawal, excessive quietness, irritability, talking about death or suicide. Ask, are you having suicidal thoughts? Asking about suicide doesn't encourage it, nor does it lead a person to think about it, but it may help prevent it and could be potentially life-saving conversation. It will pass. Assure the person that with help their suicidal feelings will pass with time, and talk to others. Encourage the person to seek help from a GP or health professionals. I offer you the state of the following pledge I came across on the internet, which fits perfectly with me. I pledge to support the church and my community to become peaceful places, which welcomes members and support those with struggling mental health. I pledge to support the church and my community to become peaceful places, which welcome and support those struggling with mental health. I hope a number of you made the pledge with me. When I say church in the pledge, I don't mean a physical building, but the people who make up the church. To welcome the people, you need innovative ways of engaging with mental health issues. That is my challenge to you. I'll leave you with the words of Jeremiah 33:6. Nevertheless, I will bring health and healing to it. I will heal my people and let them enjoy abundant peace and security. I started by asking, is the opposite of depression happiness? For me, the answer is no. The opposite of depression is peace, as found in Jeremiah and my pledge. My caution is that when the mind is chaotic and struggling, death seems to offer a peace that can't be obtained ordinarily, and that is why mental health can be so hard to understand and work with. Thank you.